Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aspiring Adult Podcast. My name is Alexandra Hayek, and I'm your host. This podcast is going to be a lot of different things, and I'll get into that. But first, I wanted to introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Alexandra. I am a 22-year-old teenage girl. Well, let's see. I'm going to do my little professional shtick first. So I recently graduated from the University of Houston. I say recently, it's almost been a year now. With a comms degree. I really loved it. And yeah, I really want to get into marketing in the entertainment industry. That's like my passion, I would say. And I've always been passionate about entertainment and the digital world and storytelling specifically, which is why I'm doing this podcast, because I love to tell stories. And I think that we need to tell the stories of just regular people. And those regular people are my friends at this point. And I don't know, I just feel like I know so many interesting people that I wanted to tell and recount their lives and have conversations with them that might help others feel seen or identified, because at the core I think that that's what media does. I could go on a rant about this, and surely I will at some point. Like I said, I want to work in marketing for entertainment. So I've always wanted to work in entertainment. That's always been my passion. That's always been what I wanted to do. I just didn't really know in what way. For a long time, I wanted to be a singer when I was a kid. I was in choir, piano lessons, guitar lessons. I really thought I was going to be the next big pop star. That was what I thought I was going to be for the longest time. And what I mean by the longest time is I don't think I let that go until I was like 16, 15, and I was like, I don't um I don't think I'm good enough. Um that's a whole other story, I guess. But yeah, when it was time to apply to colleges, I was like, well, I still want to work in entertainment. I'm never letting that go because that's like my biggest passion. So I thought, okay, like let me see how I can get into kind of the business side. And that was really cemented for me when I did this like internship slash program. It was a week at UCLA. It's called NSLC. And yeah, I had the time of my life, and I learned so much about like what different avenues I could take for entertainment, and I don't know, just being there really cemented that I wanted to be in that industry. I applied, I got into UH, decided to stay here for my undergrad. And like I said, I graduated in May 2023, so I haven't been out of like school for a long time. I am inspired by a lot of things. It's I don't even know where to start. Like obviously a lot of entertainment and the media that I consume inspires me to be in that realm, but then personally I would say my family and women that have been around me. Shout out to my grandma, one of the most resilient people I've ever met. She really inspires me to be better. And I guess I would say as a pro tip, as a tip, I'm not a pro. Like, look for inspiration wherever you find it. I know it's really hard to, like, fear can get in the way of a lot of things, is what I mean. And inspiration can counter that. So if you ever feel inspired to do anything, follow it, because anything is much easier to do when you feel really inspired. And inspiration can be just like drive, because not everything's just going to come out of thin air. Sometimes they do. Don't let people fool you. Like sometimes some inspiration will come out of nowhere and you're like, fuck, like this is what I want to do, or like I have a great idea for this project or anything. But yeah, just follow what inspires you. I know that that's a really broad thing to say, but yeah, I think I talk like this a lot because I want to be in entertainment. Um, so it's all like follow your dreams. Not very pragmatic stuff, but it's the truth. At least I believe that to be the truth. So, like I said, I want to make this podcast because um in my 20s I have felt that they have been very different to what I thought they would be. I mean, I haven't been there for a long time, like 3 years, so 2021, 22. Um but it's most definitely not what I ever imagined them to be. Like I said, I thought I would be like a global mega superstar by now. Don't know what happened. Um it's probably coming. Um but yeah, I think also like a lot of things have surprised me about my 20s. Not only professionally but like personally, like I really thought that in your 20s you're just living it up and you're doing everything you ever wanted and you've got a lot of like freedom, and it's not untrue, but it's not as true as it can be or as I thought it would be. What I mean by that is I most definitely did not think I would be still living with my parents at the age of 22. That's for sure. Let's think back to what like middle school me, early high school me would think. We're not going to talk about late high school me because she was a bitch and she was very pessimistic. And in some ways, she was right. Anyways, but yeah, like I definitely thought that I would be living my best life in a big city right now. Not that Houston isn't a big city, but yeah, I definitely thought that I would be living my life like with a bunch of like my roommate friends, with my dream job and my dream guy. None of that is true, which is actually really funny if you think about it. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that what has surprised me most about my 20s, like to my specific circumstances, is that it's a lot slower and lonelier than what I thought it would be. But it's also full of so many like possibilities in a way that's almost overwhelming. I don't want to make it sound too negative. Um but the truth is that it's not like all it's cracked up to be, or at least maybe I haven't made it that way. Like I think it's a lot about extremes. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like your 20s, you feel deeply, or at least I do. And so every high is like the biggest high you could imagine, and you become so optimistic, and you're like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is like my life is like taking a turn for the like best. Not that it's not good, but it's like, oh, my life is finally kickstarting. To sometimes you're just like in the deep trenches, like spiraling, and you're like, what am I doing? This is never going to work out. Like, I should just give up on everything that I want to do. And I don't know. And for the like lonelier part, I know that I like have a lot of the friends that I have made have moved, and so I tend to be pretty lonely. I mean, I try to make new friends, um, but it's hard. Like making friends in your 20s once you've already like graduated school is hard because you're not forced to be with somebody 24/7. Like, I've always had circumstantial friends, obviously, from school. But it's like, or that sounds terrible. Not circumstantial, in like circumstantial in the meeting of them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like easier to become friends with somebody and try to talk to them when you see them every single day. Um, and when you're out of school, that doesn't work anymore. So, yeah, I guess that's where my like loneliness of it all comes from. Um, but all of this to say that the 20s are most definitely not what I thought they would be, much less glamorous, but I think exciting, nonetheless. So, like I said, I imagined myself very differently at this age. I was convinced that I was going to be like the next Adele because, okay, my favorite singer is Taylor Swift. Everybody knows that. But my favorite vocalist, and yes, they're different, is Adele. Adele's vocals, to me, are some of the best vocals I've ever heard in my life. Transformative. I used to have an iPod with almost like, that was the first artist I ever asked for on my iPod. I was like, I need to buy all Adele songs that I know right now at the ripe age of 7. Um, oh my god, that was so long ago. But I have never seen her in concert. I need to change that. Anyways, but yeah, I thought it was gonna be the next Adele. Like I was like, oh my god, I sing just like her. I'm a genius. Like this is what I'm gonna do. Like I want to be like Adele. I want to make people feel what Adele makes me feel. Um, that that is not the case. Who knows? Maybe do still write. I'm getting ahead of myself, but who knows? Maybe I'll record them. But I definitely imagined myself much more secure too. Like I would know where my life was going, which is in hindsight a very naive, obviously, thing to think. Um, but you don't know at that age, at the age of 7, 10, 15, um, that your 20s are just as confusing. And I think, or I'm starting to realize that I feel like it's just going to be just as confusing for the rest of our lives. I probably sound like something you've always heard before, like nobody really knows what they're doing. Um, but I just like to reiterate that because even though people have told me that so many times, I've refused to believe them, and now I'm at this age and I'm like, huh, I guess people don't know what they're doing. Um, just like I don't know what I'm doing here. Like I said, I'm trying for this podcast to be very. I keep telling myself I want it to be professional, but very unserious. So, anyways, moving on. um, starting to go back to like things that you really enjoyed as a kid, and you're starting to look again into yourself, and you're like, okay, like what do I actually enjoy? Like who am I really? Like I know that I at least feel like I tended to try and put like at least some sort of veil over myself of what I thought I was supposed to be as a teenager, or what I thought I was supposed to be as in comparison to my friends, you know? And I have started to get rid of that bullshit, because that's what it is, a pure bullshit. Um and started to go back to everything I like, to like really decide, okay, like what am I not willing to compromise on? What am I willing to compromise on? Um and so I guess I'm just looking forward to doing more of that. Um I sound like a life coach or something. Um but yeah, just being more, continuing to be more myself. Oh my god, the corniness of me is crazy. Um Fun fact, I'm actually a very corny person in my head, and then I say it out loud and I'm like, wow. Wow. Oh, you know what? 2024, bring back corniness. Let's be corny, guys. I guess that's all for now. Um I hope that throughout this podcast, I'm obviously, so the purpose of this is I'm going to interview a bunch of people that I find interesting, to be honest, and people around me. Um and so I hope to not only tell their stories, but hopefully y'all will learn more about me in the future. So I'm going to close out with a question that I'm hoping to close out with for future episodes, which is a rant on anything, because as I said, I love storytelling and I love running my mouth and ranting. So the thing that I want to rant about is, at this point, it's going to sound redundant, but Saltburn. Specifically, the trailer. Okay, so as someone who wants to get into entertainment, okay, I feel like mostly for me it would be film or music. I have started to look more and more, or I tend to analyze, or try to at least, a lot of like things that go on around movies. And what stuck out to me about Saltburn was the trailer. Like, okay, have you guys noticed how trailers have become longer and longer and longer? And it's like, why am I gonna go watch the movie? I already watched the movie by watching the trailer. Correct. Um, that is not what happened with Saltburn. Saltburn made this like weird trailer where like I honestly, after watching the trailer, I was like, I don't even know what that's about, but I want to go watch it. And I think that that's what trailers should be doing more of, to be honest. Like I kept telling myself I need to go watch Saltburn, I need to go watch Saltburn, I need to go watch Saltburn, and people would tell me like, why do you want to go watch it so bad? Like, what is it about? Like, what's the story? And I was like, legitimately, I have no clue. I just know that I need to go watch it. I did, and it was an amazing experience. I'm not going to talk about it too much. Basically, the movie is like about obsession, and that's all I'm going to tell you. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Um, I don't know. Like, I just could talk about that trailer on and on and on and on and on in circles. Um, but yeah, my rant is that people need to stop, or they need to go back to making good trailers. That's what I'm asking of the film industry. Please go back to making good trailers like um the one that Saltburn made. And yeah, I'm hoping that you guys will listen to my podcast, and hopefully you were interested, although that I didn't tell you much about what I'm going to do, and it was probably a little bit all over the place. But much like Saltburn, this trailer is meant to um, only get you interested and not tell you the full story. So, yeah. Okay, you can find us on Instagram at Aspiring Adult Podcast, and hopefully wherever you get your podcasts from. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one with my first guest and interview. Goodbye.